right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike. And today we're going to be breaking down PFL Week 6. It's actually tonight. Wasn't able to put out a video earlier this week. Unfortunately, it's been really hectic. The next month is going to be for me. So, doing my best to put out the content when I can. Luckily, we still got a few hours before the fights. So, if you like what I'm talking about, most of these bets are still there. Not all of them, but I'll go over everything I have in the current lines as well. So, let's hop right in. No dilly-dally. For the first fight, we've got Abdullah Al-Qahtani versus Lamar Brown. Al-Qahtani, he's 5-1-0. Don't have his age, his height, none of that. He is a tall fella, though. Lamar Brown, 4-1-0. He's 34 years old, 5'7", and he's training out of American Top Team Atlanta. I can't confirm or deny that in terms of his camp because his Instagram shows regular American Top Team, but that was about 2 years ago. And there's no recent posts about his current camp. So I don't know where he's training right now. So I'm going to go with American Top Team Atlanta. On the Al-Qahtani side, he's actually at KHK MMA, which is where our guy Magomedkerimov trained and a bunch of great grapplers trained. So it's a good camp, and it definitely shows on him. He's got pretty good wrestling. I like his striking as well. I'd say he's pretty well-rounded. My main concern is he's pretty damn green, to be honest. He's still very green, but he seems to be improving. Appears to have a Muay Thai background, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I think he's well-rounded. He's got good striking, but he's also got pretty good wrestling. Takedown defense looks solid. He can be taken down, but it takes a really good wrestler to do it. And holding him down is difficult as well. Brown on the other side, on the tape index, I'm so over that thing. There's only one fight for Brown. But if you actually try, which they don't try, if you actually try, you can find another fight for Lamar Brown. It's on fight.tv, and it's the Rudisell Mora fight, which is a while ago now. I think it was like 2020. But Mora was like 0-1 at the time, and I believe he hasn't fought since. And honestly, Mora got robbed there. Lamar Brown did not win that fight. He got out-grappled for most of the fight. And even in the striking, I wouldn't say he was super dominant. So I'm not sure why the judges gave him that fight. I don't think it was the right decision. But nonetheless, he won, and it is there for us to look over. So his takedown defense, I think, is a problem for Brown. He also has good wrestling, so it could get interesting. But I think that the grappling will end up going to Al-Qahtani, and I just think he's going to be the better man here. He probably wins by decision. I can't tell you for sure. I don't want to lay too much on that chalk at minus 220. It's a little tough because, like I said, while he does look great, and I do really think he's the better fighter here, he's still very green, and him making mistakes wouldn't be shocking. So I have him in one chalky parlay, only a half unit stake on the parlay, and I'm going to talk about it as it goes on for the other legs. And we're going to move on now to our next fight. Next up, we've got Brahyan Zurcher versus Mike Bardsley. Zurcher, he's 5-0, undefeated, 27 years old, 5'9" at the 70-inch reach. Let me double check what I've got. I've got Cobrina BJJ, just like Tapology. Bardsley, 3-0. He's going to be 2 years older, 2 inches shorter, and he's training out of American Top Team, Team Lima. So Bardsley is actually pretty good. He's actually a pretty good striker. He's very what's the word? Very scrappy. He's a very scrappy guy, pretty good striking on the feet, and he's actually got a pretty decent ground game himself, good wrestling, good reversals, good get-ups, and saw him take a guy's back pretty slick. The thing is, I just think Zurcher is going to be a better grappler by a decent margin. He's a very good wrestler, very good jiu-jitsu on his side as well. And in terms of the grappling, I have to give the edge to Zurcher. Now, the striking, I want to say Bardsley, but Zurcher has been improving a lot in his striking. It's been getting a lot better every single fight. And do I think he's going to get completely clobbered on the feet? No. He might very well look better on the feet. We don't know. So I think it's going to be close there. Maybe I'll edge at Bardsley just because he's very scrappy and he's not going to give Zurcher a clean fight. But I think Zurcher's going to have that grappling open to him. So I do have him in 2 parlays for a total stake of 1 unit. And I'm going to be talking about the next parlay pieces in a little bit. Let me just pull up my bets. Okay, yeah. And we can move on to the next one. This is a pretty good fight. We've got Jarrah Hussein Al-Silawi versus Solomon Renfro. Al-Silawi, he's 18-5-0, 30 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. And for him, Let me see what I've got. Don't have a camp for him. We're going to go with the Source MMA. Renfro 10-3-0, 4 years younger, 2 inches shorter, same reach pretty much. WNY MMA and fitness is what we're going with. So Renfro is a short notice replacement. Al-Silawi was supposed to fight Jack Jusola. Sorry if you guys hear those sirens. I live in New York. It's very loud here. But Al-Silawi was supposed to fight Jusola, and I was going to put so much money on Al-Silawi. I mean, that was an absolute mismatch. Now, against Renfro, it's a good fight, but I am pretty surprised that the line is flipped. I played Al-Silawi here at minus 125 for a sixth of a unit, I believe, 0.6. And now he's the underdog. And I'm pretty pissed about that. I got reverse CLV'd, but I think that's a great play, to be completely honest. Renfro is a prospect. He's very good. I don't think he's a busted prospect just because he lost to Fugit and Mike Mallet, two UFC fighters now. I know people don't like Fugit all that much anymore. They were so high on him going into his Mike Mallet fight. But then, now they're not high on him anymore. Classic. But Fugit is pretty good. Not a terrible loss for Renfro. The Johnny Parsons loss on the Contender Series, now that wasn't a great look. And I just think that on the feet, Renfro, he has huge power. And not to say he's not technical, he's a pretty good striker too. But I would say that technique-wise, I think I give the striking to Al-Silawi here. I think he's the cleaner striker, more developed striker. And I just think he'll be better on the feet overall. I have some output concerns with Al-Silawi, but Renfro's not an output machine either, except when he's going for the finish or his flurries, because he is knocking guys down a lot, and then he's chasing after that finish, so then he throws a lot. But that also means he can slow down. I favor Al-Silawi in the cardio, and as the fight continues, I'm going to be more and more confident in Al-Silawi, hopefully. Now, grappling-wise, Al-Silawi is not much of a wrestler. He doesn't really do it. He has done it, and it looks pretty good. But his takedown defense is really solid. He's got a win over Abdurrahimov, who I believe is the Brave double champion right now, and who a lot of people want to see in the UFC. The guy's awesome, and he's a stud. So to beat him is a good look. He's got a win over Carlson Harris. Good look. And overall, I just think he's fought, beaten, and lost to the much better competition than Renfro. So for me, I think Al-Silawi is the play. And as an underdog, I absolutely think he's worth a half unit shot. So if you're watching this, you agree with my breakdown, I think that's a great play. I think last I saw him, he was plus 130-ish. Let me check. He's plus 120. I still think that's worth a shot. I mean, I have minus 125. So obviously, I'm going to think that. And we're going to move on to our next fight. Let's see what we got. All right. Now, this is a great fight, too. We've got Alex Martinez versus Bruno Miranda. Martinez, he's 29 years old, 6 feet tall with the 73-inch reach. Champion Gym is what I've got for him. Actually, no, that's incorrect. He's at TriStar. Miranda, 15-3-0. He's going to be 4 years older, 2 inches shorter, and he's training out of Tiger Muay Thai. I honestly think he's going to be even shorter than 2 inches. At the face-offs, he looked really small compared to Martinez. Now, he normally looks small compared to his opponents over at lightweight, but excuse me, he makes it work. Now, in this fight, it's a tough one. I think the right side is the plus money side, and it's both guys have been the underdog at some point. I got Alex Martinez at plus 100. I didn't think he should be the underdog, so I put a unit on it. I believe now Martinez is the favorite. He is, and Bruno Miranda is plus 115. And I can't hate on anybody going that way either. So let's talk about it. Now, Miranda, he's a very good striker. Okay, he's a good striker. I don't know about very good. He can get very loopy with his strikes sometimes. And because of that size disadvantage, it's hard for him to strike at range. He's much better up close in the pocket against the fence. His leg kicks, though, holy, like, I don't know why I just didn't curse. I'm allowed to curse on here. It's my own show. But regardless, I mean, the guy can crack. He hits hard with his hands, but the leg kicks, I don't know if I've seen anything like it before. They're thundering and just very powerful, and they really have an effect on all of his opponents that he uses them on. And that's the thing, because what does he struggle with? He struggles with grapplers, right? His takedown defense isn't great. Once you get his back, it's hard for him to get you off. And a lot of his opponents have been able to find success in the grappling. But then he'll just kick their legs, kick their legs, kick their legs until they're not really able to shoot properly. And that's when he starts to take over. Now, Martinez, great grappler. He's a very solid grappler, great on the ground, good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling. And again, he's got that size edge. So I really do think he's going to drag Miranda down to the ground. And I do think he's going to find control time there. And if he takes his back and submits him, will I be shocked? Absolutely not. I won't be that surprised. I do think Martinez could get the job done on the ground. My concern is he's an okay striker. He's nothing special at all on the feet, Martinez. Can he compete with Miranda? Yeah, he can. But the more he stays up there, the more I'm going to get worried because there's only so much damage legs can take no matter how good you are. And again, I don't think he's the better striker. So he's going to get hit a lot by Miranda. He needs to keep his range, use his size, and then close the distance at the correct times and get those takedowns. Do it against the fence. That works a lot against Miranda. And that's what Martinez has to do here. So at plus 100, I'm fairly happy with my play, 1 unit on Martinez. But I think this is so close to a 50-50 fight where if Miranda's plus 120, I don't hate it either. So give me Martinez. I do think there's a pretty big grappling hole with Miranda. So I do think he can pull it off. And we'll move on to the next one. This is a crazy fight. And not because it's going to be fun. It probably isn't going to be fun. It'll probably be relatively boring. But these two are like besties. They train together. They're friends outside of the gym. Apparently, they're godfathers to each other's kids. I didn't even know that one. Pretty crazy that now they're fighting. It's like kind of like Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman, but I think these two are even closer. And I don't think either of them has left American Top Team from what I can tell. It appears that they're both still there. So very interesting how that's been going. And the face-off was kind of funny. They were just like looking at each other laughing. I can imagine staring down like one of your best friends. You know his kids are your godchildren. Like it's just a very crazy fight. But throwing narrative aside, Natan Schulte is the better fighter here. Like let's just be real. I've never been that high on Raush Manfio. It was awesome to watch his run in his first PFL run in 2021. Great narrative, right? He was the alternate, came in there, won a bunch of fights as the underdog, made it all the way to the finals, and then won his finals fight as well as the underdog. The thing is, he didn't deserve a lot of those wins. And then, since then, I've been a little underwhelmed. When he fought Don Madge, dude, he was losing that fight completely losing that fight until he got that knockout, the overhand right, end of round 3 or around the end of round 3. OAM, that he didn't really stand a chance. OAM was just a better guy there. And then against Martinez, he looked like the way better guy. He showed some good wrestling, did Raush Manfio, showed some good takedown defense. And his output certainly has improved. That's always been a big critique of mine against Raush Manfio is that he doesn't have much output. He's like a Derek Lewis at lightweight, which I hate. I hate backing guys who don't have a lot of output. I hate backing guys who are constantly just looking for that counter. And the way he's just looking for that right hand, it just pisses me off. I don't like that. I don't like backing that. I don't believe in that as a fighting style. It works, sure, and he's been doing great, but I just don't think it's good. Now, he has been improving in the output, like I said, and his striking is solid. He's got a great reach for his frame. But Natan Schulte is a solid striker, too. I think he's got the better wins. He's been in the PFL for much longer. I believe he was a champion twice, if I'm not mistaken. His ground game is fantastic. Both guys have pretty good ground games, but I think Schulte takes it by a margin. If I'm not mistaken, 10 sub wins on the guy. I don't think Manfio has a single one. Let me tell you exactly. I have that shit in my notes. Yeah, Manfio doesn't have a single sub. He's also never been submitted, but Schulte, 10 sub wins, really good wrestling. I know Manfio does have good takedown defense. I mentioned it, but I don't think he's going to be able to defend all the takedowns from Schulte. And again, on the feet, I think Schulte is a little more crisp, and he's certainly got better output than Manfio. So as long as he doesn't choke, I don't really see how he loses, and I think he could have been a really wide favorite. So he is in two of my parlays. Both of them are with Zurcher. So he's in there's one with just him and Zurcher that came out to plus 117 for a half unit. And then I have a heavier favorite on the second parlay. It's a 3-legger. And now that one's also a half unit. So my total stake on Natan Schulte is 1 unit total. But I'm pretty damn confident that he's going to win this. I just have some concerns how it's going to play out because they're friends and whether it's going to be a weird fight because of that. But overall, I think this should be Schulte all day. I'm really not a fan or believer of Raush Manfio. I'm a fan of his run and everything, and he's a great guy, but I hate his fighting style. I really don't like it. And we're going to move on. I just get pissed off by guys who don't throw anything in a fight, like William Knight, like Tyson Nam, like Derek Lewis. Like, I'm not a fan, but we'll move on. Next up, we've got Carlos Leal versus Dilano Taylor. Leal, he's 18-4-0, 29 years old, 5'11" with the 72-inch reach. Let me check what I've got for him. I don't have anything, so we're going to go with Thai Brazil. Dilano Taylor, 10-4-0. He's 3 years younger. He's going to be 4 inches taller, 5-inch reach advantage, training out of Sanford MMA, Killcliff. And this is really interesting to me because I'm very tempted in playing Dilano. I think that he does have a chance here, and he's a pretty big underdog. He's currently sitting at plus 225, plus 240 on FanDuel if you have it. I think those are great lines. I think those are great spots. But whether I'm going to pull the trigger, I don't know. Because Dilano's a good wrestler, right? He's a very good wrestler, and his striking has come along. He's a pretty good striker now at this point. Some people I spoke to called him a bum. I certainly don't agree. I think he's a pretty good fighter. The thing is with Leal, he's good. He's a good dude. I mean, he's got that one loss to Sadabusi, but Sadabusi is a very difficult guy to deal with that range, with that striking style. Whereas Dilano is a very different story. And Carlos, he has good takedown defense. He's got really solid takedown defense. He can wrestle as well. And he did get taken down by Zarafino, but he still ended up winning that fight. I just think that he's the better man all around. So I do think he's going to win, but I don't think that it's going to be wide enough where he's going to cover that price tag. I mean, you're seeing minus 305. I think that's too wide. I really do. I think that Taylor is live if he mixes in his wrestling and is able to get it. Because on the feet, I don't think he's a fish out of water, and he's got a pretty significant size edge here. So while I don't think I'm going to get to a play, I think he's a very live dog. I really do. I'm going to pick Leal to win, but keep an eye on my Twitter. I might last second pull the trigger on Taylor. Maybe it's something I want to tape a little more. One moment. I needed my air conditioner. It's getting way too hot in here, but we can move on to our next fight. Next up, we've got Clay Collard versus Stevie Ray. Collard, 22-10-0, 30 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, training out of, let me check what I've got. Don't have anything for him, so we're going with the Pit Elevated Fight Team. Stevie Ray, 25-12-0, 33. He's 3 years older. He's going to be 1 inch shorter and have a 3-inch reach disadvantage. Higher level martial arts for him. This is a fight I don't want anything to do with just because of the line. The line is pretty accurate in my opinion. Minus 225 Collard, plus 190 Ray. I think that Collard is the rightful favorite. I think that he's got the way better boxing. I mean, he's a fantastic boxer. Really, really good striking. He has his hands down, which is problematic in terms of striking defense. But in terms of striking offense, it allows him to come from really weird and awkward angles where his opponents aren't expecting it. So I do think his striking is going to be a lot for Stevie Ray to handle. And especially with that output and that pressure that Clay Collard uses in his fights. Now, his takedown defense, which is going to be relevant here, and I'll explain why, not the best in the world. Pretty good. He's not like he's always getting taken down. He's got pretty good takedown defense, but he can be taken down. Now, he also has his own pretty good wrestling, but I don't think that's a smart move for him here. Stevie Ray, what he's good at is grappling. He's a really good grappler, I would say. His jiu-jitsu is very solid. His wrestling is pretty solid. And if they do hit the ground, if Stevie Ray does take him down, or if Collard takes him down for some damn reason, Stevie Ray's live for a sub. And that's actually the first thing I looked at, because Collard has been submitted 3 times. And Stevie Ray, he's a good submission artist. So I don't want anything to do with this fight, because I think it's relatively binary, where I think that Collard is a much better striker. Stevie Ray is a much better grappler. But do I want to trust Collard to not go to the ground, to not get taken down? Not at this price. And do I want to play Stevie Ray? No, I'm not really interested. I don't like his striking, and I do think he should lose this fight. So Clay's my pick. I have him in the full card parlay, of course. I always have to have one of those. But other than that, I'm not going to play anything here. I just don't like it enough. But I do think Collard probably wins relatively convincingly. All right, next up, we've got Magomed Umalatov versus Nayib Lopez. So Umalatov, 13-0, undefeated. He's 6'1" at the 75-inch reach. Eagles MMA is what I've got for him. Let me just double check that. Yeah, I don't have anything else. Nayib Lopez, 16-0. He's 6'3". He's going to be 2 inches taller, apparently. He didn't really seem that way at faceoffs. Rocket Romero team for him. So both guys undefeated. Someone's has got to go. That's going to be a lot of fun to see. But look, I think Umalatov is a huge favorite for a reason, minus 900. And the reason is Nayib Lopez is very one-dimensional. He's a very good wrestler, but that's all he's got. In the striking, he's okay, but his offense isn't anything to write home about. And he doesn't have great striking defense. He's very hittable. He was getting hit by Shane Mitchell every time they were on the feet. And he's just a very hittable guy. So I can't trust him to be able to stand with a guy like Umalatov. So I'm just going to say Magomed. It's so much easier. So Magomed, he's got good wrestling. He's got good takedown defense. And his striking is pretty deadly. He's a very solid striker. So because of that, I think he's going to be able to keep this fight on the feet. And I think eventually he's probably going to knock out Lopez. I would be on the knockout prop, but it's too chalky in my opinion. Let me tell you what it is. It's minus 150 because, he could win by submission too. That wouldn't be the most shocking thing. He's only got 1 sub win, but Lopez is going to be shooting and shooting and shooting. That's all he's going to do in this fight. He's going to be shooting takedowns. It's going to give Umalatov a bunch of opportunities. Now, the play I did take, I took 2 spots here. I took Magomed round 2 and Magomed round 3. I got round 2 at plus 325 for 0.3 units. And I got round 3 at plus 700 for 0.2 units. And the logic there is I think Nayib Lopez will be able to survive round 1 because he's going to be wrestling so much. And I think Magomed is going to spend most of the round defending takedowns. But once we get to round 2 and 3, I think Lopez might start to slow down a bit because he's not going to be getting a lot of takedowns and he's not going to be able to hold Magomed down if he does take him down. And I think eventually that's going to catch up to him and Magomed's going to land more and more and more and more until ultimately he knocks him out. So I took round 2 and round 3, didn't take a method, just chose to go with the rounds just in case. And I like those 2 spots quite a bit. Now I also have him as the third leg of that parlay I told you guys about. Schulte, Zurcher, Magomed, plus 148, a half unit. That's when Magomed was minus 700. I was looking at him today because I put together another chalk parlay I've been talking about. But I chose not to because minus 900 and would it be the most shocking thing in the world that if Lopez just out wrestles him for 3 rounds? It would be pretty damn shocking, but it's possible. It's entirely possible. We see in PFL all the time, guys don't show up looking how they should. And a guy like Lopez, he does have good wrestling, like I mentioned. And if Magomed's not stuffing those takedowns or he's having a hard time defending all of them, because there's going to be a lot, then it could get really greasy. So I didn't want to put too much at stake in this fight. And I decided to just leave it at that. And we're going to move on to the next fight. All right, we're going to spend pretty much 0 time on this. Magomedkerimov versus David Zawada. Magomed, 33 years old, 31-6-0, 6'1" with a 73-inch reach. On the other side, Zawada, 18-8-0. Oh, and Magomed, I believe he's at American Top Team, but I don't know for sure right now. Zawada 18-8-0. He's 1 year younger at 32, 1 inch shorter with a 2-inch reach advantage. UFD gym for him. Look, I don't really know what Zawada can do here. I don't really know what he can do here to win the fight. I don't think he can outstrike Magomed. I don't think he can outgrapple Magomed. So what's he going to do? He has to spark him. But the last time that happened, that was Ray Cooper. Ray Cooper hits like a damn train. David Zawada doesn't really have that kind of knockout power. Let me check. He's got 12 knockout wins. That's pretty good. Magomed also has 12. But I would say I really don't see him knocking out Magomed. So we're not going to waste any more time. I think Magomedkerimov has him covered literally everywhere. And there's a reason he's minus 1,500. Obviously, you should not parlay that. It's just not good practice because you never know. And minus 1,500 isn't going to change your parlay much. It'll make a tiny difference. So I wouldn't suggest it. And I will say, like, I've considered his different method props, but it's just hard because he can probably win this however he wants. And it also could be a decision because he tends to go to decision sometimes. He's got like 14 decision wins, something like that. He's been to a decision a lot. And he can be a decisionator. So plus 250, I was tempted. But at the same time, he's so much better. I do think he'll eventually find the finish. His knockout is plus 100. His sub is plus 300. He's got 9 subs and 12 knockouts. So he can really do it either way. And Zawada, he can be finished either way. He's more likely to get knocked out than he is to get subbed, I think, here. But can happen either way. Give me Magomed. You can't bet this. So we're going to pass and we're going to move on to the next fight. Talk about fighters who piss me the hell off, and it's not Shane Burgos. Here we have Shane Burgos versus Yamato Nishikawa. Burgos, he's 15-4-0, 32 years old, 5'11" with a 75.5-inch reach. Tiger Schulman's MMA for him. Nishikawa, 21-4-6. He's 20 years old, so he's 12 years younger, but he's 20. 5'7", so he's giving up 4 inches in height. Don't have his reach. Power of Dream Sapporo is what they say here. I don't have otherwise in my notes. Look, Nishikawa, first of all, he should not be a lightweight. I don't know what the hell he's doing at this weight class. Like, look at the weigh-ins between Burgos, who was a featherweight until he came to the PFL, and Nishikawa, who's a lightweight. And it's crazy. I mean, they look like they're in 2 different weight classes, maybe even 3, like across 3 different weight classes. It's a huge size difference. And honestly, Nishikawa could probably make bantamweight if he actually tried. So not sure what he's doing in this division. Now, originally, before the Clay Collard fight, he was actually supposed to fight in the UFC against Magomed Mustafayev on short notice. And my God, he should be thanking his star, like whatever he believes in, that he didn't have that fight because he would have died. He would have probably died. I mean, Mustafayev is so much better than him. And Nishikawa, he's too young, too green. Look, what is that? It's 31 fights at the age of 20. Means he was fighting at an extremely young age, probably younger than 16. I mean, it's good. He's got a ton of experience, but he's still young and stupid. And watching the Clay Collard fight, I think I had Nishikawa by sub or something, but like I didn't even care about that. I was infuriated because of the way he was fighting. It was like, what are you doing here? Just don't fight then if you're gonna act this way. Sorry I'm getting so pissed off by certain fighters, but I just am. He threw almost only leg kicks. And now this isn't Bruno Miranda, whose leg kicks are like hitting someone with a metal bat to the leg. His leg kicks are like whatever. It's nothing crazy. And that's all he really did. And then he started throwing punches later on in the fight, and it was too little, too late. Like, what are you going to do to Clay Collard now? You spent a round and a half more only throwing leg kicks and just staring at the guy. What did you think was going to happen? Think you were just going to win somehow? I mean, it doesn't happen. You don't win somehow. You have to do it. I don't think Nishikawa is a worthy play here. I considered him originally when I first saw the line because Burgos, he can be hard to trust. We've seen him get outstruck by people I thought he would outstrike, like Charles Jourdain. And in his last fight, he got outworked by OAM as well. But Nishikawa doesn't pose any of the problems that OAM does at all. And his only chance here is to spark Burgos, which I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't think he's going to spark Burgos at all. I think that he doesn't have any chance here really at all. I don't know what he's going to do. Any fighter is always live to get a knockout. That's always the case. Any fighter can always get a knockout, can always happen. You never know. I just I think the likelihood of that is really, really small here. Burgos has been knocked out twice, but by much better men. I mean, we're talking Edson Barboza, the way his body shut down, and then I don't even remember the knockout before then. I'm not seeing it at all. I think Burgos puts on a beating on Nishikawa, and I think Burgos can actually submit the guy. I was really tempted on a submission prop, but I missed the line. It opened at plus 550. Now it's plus 400. I would have liked that 500, so probably staying off of it. But what I did do was I played the under 2.5 at plus 100 for a half unit. That way I'm covered if I'm wrong and Nishikawa really does decide to fight this time and gets a finish somehow, catches Burgos, or it covers me if Burgos gets a finish like I think is going to happen. And I also played Burgos ITD minus 145 for another half unit because I do think it's going to be him who messes up Nishikawa. So that's the way I decided to tackle it, and we're going to move on to the next fight. All right, next up we've got Sadabu C versus Shane Mitchell. C is 14, 6 and 2, 36 years old, 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. Extreme Couture for him. Training partner of Sean Strickland. Mitchell 13, 5 and 0. Excuse me. His age, I believe, is 31. Yeah, I got his age on all of his measurables, even though they don't have it here. He's 31 years old. He's 6'1" at the 73-inch reach. So Sadabusi is 2 inches taller and has a 7-inch reach advantage. Look, Sadabusi kind of falls into that category of fighters that I've been yelling about for the last half hour. Guys who are low output who piss me off. But his output's been improving, and he's a really hard guy to deal with because his length and his frame, and he uses it really well. His kicks are really good, and he uses that to keep his range. He's really good in the clinch. He's got great knees, nice elbows, mostly knees. And at range, he's just really hard to deal with. When he does throw his hands, they're also really solid. Now, would I be backing him at minus 800 against almost anybody? No, not really. And I'm definitely not playing it like heavy. But he is in my chalk parlay that I was talking about earlier. Let's see what legs we've gone over so far. We've gone over Al-Qahtani. That's leg number 1. Burgos is leg number 2 there. And Sadabusi is the third of 4 legs. Plus 132 is the parlay. Half unit on that one. I just don't know what Shane Mitchell is going to do here. I don't know what he can do. Now, in his last fight, he got out-grappled by Nayib Lopez. That's not going to happen here. Sadabusi does not wrestle at all. But I don't know what he can do to him in the striking. He's not good enough of a striker to be able to hang with Sadabusi, I don't think. He's going to have a hard time closing that range, and when he does, he's going to get hurt in the clinch, I think. And if he tries to wrestle, that's probably his best chance, but I don't think it's going to work. Sadabu has shown very solid takedown defense, and it's only gotten better and better and better and better as his career has gone on. So I don't think extremely highly of Sadabusi, but I think he probably covers his price tag against Mitchell, probably knocks him out, maybe round 2, round 3. I just think he's a much better striker, and Mitchell, I don't see what he's going to do. And he's very hittable himself. Even Nayib Lopez, who I was saying isn't the best striker, was landing a lot on Mitchell. So give me Sadabusi here. I don't think Mitchell's going to pull this one off, personally. Just don't know what he can do. Moving on, we've got OAM, Olivier Aubin-Mercier versus Anthony Romero. OAM is 18, 5 and 0. He's 34 years old, 5'9" at the 70.5-inch reach. And I believe he's at, pretty sure he's at TriStar, but I could be mistaken there. Romero, 12, 1 and 0, 26. He's 8 years younger, 2 inches taller, same reach, Niagara top team for him. Look, I think OAM wins. And he rounds out that chalk parlay I've been talking about. He's leg number 4, half unit stake total. Anthony Romero, he's fought in the UFC Contender Series, Dana White's Contender Series against Mike Breeden, who actually ended up in the UFC, and Romero didn't, even though Romero won that fight. And Dana didn't give him a contract because he was boring, because he was wrestling. Now, I don't give a fuck if a guy's boring. When it comes to betting, boring is often good because it means they're wrestling. And that's always a great thing. But against a guy like OAM, I think that's part of the problem is if you're primarily a wrestler and then you're fighting a better grappler, what do you have left? The striking, I don't think Romero's going to be able to outstrike OAM. I really don't. I think OAM's a better striker overall. And on the ground, maybe Romero has better wrestling offensively, but I don't know that to be the case. I'm not convinced of that. I think OAM can also get his own takedowns here. And once it's actually on the mat, I really favor OAM. I favor his jiu-jitsu a lot more than I do Romero's. I think he's just a better guy on the ground. 8 submission wins, only 1 sub win for Romero. So I think they're going to hit the ground. And I do think at some point OAM submits him. I've considered the submission prop, but it's not what I would want it to be. It's it's actually a little better than I thought. Plus 475. That might be worth a shot. When was the last time he got one? Not in his last 5, but it's all been really good opponents. Yeah, I'm not gonna play the sub just yet. Make sure you're following me at Couch Warrior Pod. If I do play it, it'll be on there. I've already posted my slate as it stands right now, so you can see it. And that's it. I'm gonna pick OAM here. He's the last leg of that chalk parlay, and I'm not gonna do anything else with it. So that's a card, guys. That's PFL 6. I'm gonna put it up right away, and I'll just run through my picks and my plays one more time. So my plays are Alex Martinez plus 100 1 unit. Al-Silawi minus 125, 0.6 units. Schulte Zurcher parlay plus 117, half a unit. Umalatov Zurcher Schulte plus 148, half a unit. Under 2.5 in the Burgos Nishikawa fight, plus 100, half a unit. Burgos ITD minus 145, half a unit. Magomed Umalatov round 2 plus 325, 0.3 units. Round 3 plus 700, 0.2 units. And then the chalk parlay, OAM, Burgos, Sadabusi, Al-Qahtani, plus 132, half a unit. And that's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in, and good luck with any of your bets this week.